My wonderful husband, Thomas, was gone, but he left me one final sacred instruction hidden in a sealed letter, a secret inheritance of land and savings meant for our grandchildren. But before I could open it, his own younger brother, Raymond, stole and destroyed it. Raymond looked me straight in the eye and lied, saying, "There was no letter. You must be remembering wrong." He tried to use my age and my grief to steal everything, but he didn't realize his own past lies would be the only truth I needed to reclaim my husband's last wish. Hello, I'm Helen Brooks, and this is the true story of how I fought my own brother-in-law and won back my family's future. Before we dive into the dusty archives of fraud, tell me quickly in the comments where you are watching from. And if you believe that memory and loyalty always win over greed, please hit that subscribe button and ring the bell. You won't want to miss the final court decision. A few days after the funeral, I found the letter tucked beneath Thomas's favorite clock. It contained the location of a secret savings account and instructions for a piece of land he owned. It was a cold comfort, but it was sacred. But before I could even make sense of the details, I became weak and had to go into the hospital for a hip surgery. A necessary procedure, but it made me completely vulnerable. That's where Raymond Brooks, Thomas's younger brother, stepped in. He came to my house offering to help sort the mail and pay the bills. I trusted him. He was family. I had no idea he was already jealous of Thomas and looking for a way to steal. Raymond searched my room while I was under heavy medication in the hospital. He found the sealed letter, Thomas's last words, and he simply stole it and destroyed it. When I got home and realized the letter was gone, I frantically asked Raymond about it. He looked me straight in the eye, his face smooth and kind, and delivered the cruelest lie. "Helen," he said softly, putting his hand on my shoulder, "there was no letter. You must be remembering wrong. You were under heavy medication after the surgery. It was probably just a dream." He tried to convince me I was crazy so he could claim Thomas's savings and land for his own children. But Raymond forgot one thing. I may have been weak, but my memory of Thomas's last wish was not a dream. It was a cold, hard fact, and I was going to find the one piece of paper that proved Raymond was a liar. The weeks after the surgery and the theft were the hardest of my life. I struggled with the physical pain of my hip, but the mental pain was far worse. Raymond pushed his lie constantly. Every time I mentioned the savings or the land, he would sigh and say, "Helen, we talked about this. You're still grieving. Just rest." He created a fog of doubt, making me question my own memory. Had I imagined the sealed letter? Was I truly too old and confused now to remember the truth? This manipulation hurt more than the stolen money. It was an attack on my sanity and my strength. Raymond used this fog to work. He moved quickly to claim the savings and the land, knowing I was too compromised to fight him in court. He sold his own smaller house and used Thomas's stolen money to buy a beautiful piece of lakefront property near this secret area Thomas had mentioned. He started building a vacation rental, flaunting his new wealth everywhere. Every new brick he laid was a direct insult to Thomas's memory and a testament to his successful theft. I knew I couldn't fight Raymond with words. His lie was too smooth, and he had convinced my own children that I was simply confused. I spent months watching him, collecting my own strength. I remembered the core truth. Thomas would never lie. I focused on the one person who knew Thomas's financial secrets, his longtime lawyer, Mr. Vance. The money was gone, but the proof had to exist somewhere. Thomas was meticulous. He never trusted a secret to paper alone. I decided I needed to get into the archives, the place Raymond thought was too boring and too complicated for an old, grieving woman. I knew Raymond was watching me, so I had to act with extreme caution. My goal was simple: get access to Thomas's old files at Mr. Vance's law office. The opportunity came a year later. Mr. Vance, Thomas's kind old lawyer, was finally retiring and closing his small downtown office. His son was taking over the practice and merging it with a large firm. I called the new office, asking to retrieve Thomas's general closed files, claiming I needed them for tax purposes. The new staff member didn't want to deal with the dusty old papers. They gave me a large unmarked cardboard box and said, "Mrs. Brooks, these are all the old files we couldn't scan. Take what you need and dispose of the rest." I drove home with my treasure box. It was filled with decades of unimportant paperwork, old tax receipts, vacation itineraries, and expired life insurance policies. Raymond would have just thrown it away, but I was meticulous, just like Thomas. I spent 3 days going through the box, page by page. I was searching for the truth, a simple piece of paper that proved the letter was real. And there it was, tucked into a file marked Trust Agreement Drafts, 1995. It wasn't the final will, but it was a draft. A detailed legal plan showing Thomas had paid Mr. Vance years ago to create a complex grandchildren's trust linked specifically to the lakefront land and a sizable savings account. The draft was dated just 6 months before his death, proving the sealed letter was real and that Raymond was a thief. The draft included a handwritten note from Thomas: "For the future, when the time is right." I held the paper, shaking, not from weakness, but from fierce, cold certainty. Raymond hadn't won. He had only destroyed the letter, but he couldn't destroy Thomas's documented intent. I had proof the betrayal was real. Now I needed to find the ultimate weapon, proof that Raymond was a criminal. I now had the proof of the crime, the stolen inheritance. But I needed the weapon of exposure, Raymond's own illegal actions. I knew Raymond had a history of being sneaky in business. He was always trying to cut corners. I returned to the box of old files from Mr. Vance's office. This time, I searched through Raymond's scattered business files, which Thomas had kept from an old joint venture. I found it, a document from 2005 for a small, forgotten land deal. It was a transfer of deed signed by Raymond, but when I looked at the signature closely, my blood ran cold. It was slightly shaky and clumsy, an obvious falsification of his real handwriting. Raymond had committed minor property fraud years ago, forging a signature to save money on legal fees, believing the paperwork was too old to ever be checked. I immediately photocopied the document, feeling a cold rush of power. This was my leverage. If I could prove Raymond lied about his past business dealings, I could destroy his credibility in the current inheritance case. But Raymond was clever. He had undoubtedly changed his signature style over the years. I needed a current, clean signature to show the court the clear difference between his official signature today and his forged signature from the past. I couldn't just ask him for his signature. That would alert him. I had to set a subtle trap. I needed a current signature from Raymond that was completely unsuspicious. I decided to orchestrate a small, seemingly sentimental family event. I organized a party for my granddaughter's birthday, a small fake gathering focused on family memories. I called Raymond, emphasizing how much I needed him to be there to share stories about Thomas. He agreed immediately, seeing it as a chance to smooth things over with the family, and appeared devoted. When Raymond arrived, I played the part perfectly. I had prepared a beautiful photo album with blank white pages inside. I explained to everyone that I wanted to create a family memory book where everyone wrote down a favorite story about Thomas. It was a perfect emotional excuse. When I handed the album to Raymond,
I asked him tearfully to write the very first entry, signing his full current name and date at the bottom. He wrote a flowery note, sentimental about his older brother, and signed his name perfectly, his current, clean signature. He didn't hesitate, believing he was performing the role of the caring brother. I had him. I now had 3 crucial documents: the proof of intent, Thomas's trust draft; the evidence of past crime, Raymond's falsified 2005 signature; and the key to exposure, Raymond's current clean signature. I immediately consulted a forensic document specialist, a handwriting doctor, anonymously. The handwriting doctor confirmed that the 2005 signature was indeed an intentional falsified signature, proving Raymond had committed document fraud years ago. The evidence was ready to be deployed. I didn't confront Raymond directly. I allowed him to continue his arrogant new life, building the vacation rental on the land he stole. He believed the sealed letter was gone forever, and he was safe. My new lawyer, Mr. Vance's honest successor, and I filed a powerful legal motion claiming the land Raymond was developing was purchased using assets, the stolen savings, that legally belonged to the grandchildren's trust. We used Thomas's trust draft from Module 3 as irrefutable proof of Thomas's original intent. Raymond was completely shocked. He stormed into my home screaming, "Helen, you are confused. You sold me that land." I calmly showed him the trust draft dated just months before Thomas died. He realized that he had only burned the letter, but he failed to burn the archival documents that proved the connection between the money and the land. He panicked. He filed a counter motion claiming I was mentally unstable and that the trust draft was irrelevant. He demanded that I produce the original sealed letter. I smiled and said, "Raymond, you know I can't do that. You were the last person to handle the mail." The responsibility for the missing crucial evidence was now placed squarely on the thief who destroyed it. Raymond, frantic to protect his stolen investment, attempted to sell the land quickly to a corporation to cover his tracks and dissolve the asset. I anticipated this. My lawyer immediately filed a temporary injunction, a legal document to freeze the sale, using the trust draft and Thomas's explicit instructions as grounds. The injunction was granted. The land was legally frozen, and Raymond's massive building project came to an immediate, expensive halt. The trap was now fully sprung. Raymond was legally paralyzed. His money was tied up in a frozen asset, and his history of document fraud was about to be revealed. The judge ordered a deposition to examine Raymond's acquisition of the funds used to purchase the land. This is where I would use his own lies against him. I provided my lawyer with his old, falsified 2005 signature and his new cleans.
The turning point came during the court hearing. Raymond, arrogant even under pressure, tried to dismiss the old 2005 fraud document as a simple error. My lawyer then introduced the handwriting doctor, the forensic document specialist. The handwriting doctor testified, showing the court the comparison between Raymond's clean, current signature from the birthday book and the clumsy, falsified signature from the 2005 deed transfer. The specialist confirmed without a doubt that Raymond had intentionally altered his handwriting to commit minor property fraud. The judge and the court were stunned. Raymond's credibility collapsed completely. The judge realized Raymond was a financial predator with a documented history of deceit. Raymond looked at me, realizing I had engineered his downfall using his own past actions and a simple birthday card. He saw that I was not the confused widow he mocked. I was the guardian of the truth. The final judgment was swift and devastating for Raymond. He could not prove how he acquired the funds to buy the land because he stole them from Thomas's account, and his proven history of document manipulation made all of his current financial statements invalid. The court ruled against Raymond completely.
The land and the savings account were officially transferred to the grandchildren's trust, exactly as Thomas intended. Raymond was humiliated, ruined financially, and faced further legal investigation for the old fraud. I sat in the courtroom, watching the judge sign the order. I felt immense satisfaction, not because Raymond was punished, but because I had fulfilled Thomas's final sacred wish. I had proven my memory was strong, my mind was clear, and my love was powerful enough to undo years of calculated deceit. 1 year later, the chaos was gone. Raymond was gone, dealing with the ruin he had brought on himself. The lakefront property was finally mine, legally and morally, but only to be held for the children. I drove out to the land with my grandchildren. It was a beautiful, peaceful place. I sat by the water and explained to them that this was their gift from their grandfather, Thomas. He always knew they would need a foundation for their future. I pulled out the old trust draft from 1995. It was the only proof I had needed. I realized that Raymond may have burned Thomas's final written words, but he couldn't destroy the true spirit of the inheritance. My memory, my careful search, and Raymond's own lies were the true weapons. I had protected my husband's honor and my grandchildren's future. I smiled, feeling the sun on my face. I may have been 68 and recovering from surgery, but I was never too old to remember the truth. The only thing Raymond had done was bring Thomas's last quiet wish to life, just a little later than planned.